Let's go.
Welcome to the Soul Fam podcast, where we expand your personal universe. I'm Diana Marquetta, and in each episode, Soul Fam co-founder, co-creator Lexi Sturmer-Solden and I interview the world's most rising and longtime experts in consciousness, spirituality, entertainment, healing, and science. From Earth's dimensions and dimensions way, way beyond. On the Soul Fam podcast, our frequencies are high and your heart chakras will open as these powerful voices of today share cutting-edge research, profound experiences, and valuable knowledge for your world in this out-of-this-world, thought-provoking, envelope-pushing interviews that could only take place right here on the Soul Fam podcast. Welcome to the Soul Fam podcast. I'm Diana Marquetta, host of the Soul Fam podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe at the end of this show. In this week's episode, I am greatly thrilled to bring you Dr. Kelly Confer. I personally call her the Quantum Doctor. Dr. Confer is a chiropractor, but she also brings frequency to the healing table, what I call quantum medicine that is based on the systems in your body and what frequency each system is carrying. She does some phenomenal work that is very integrative so that you as a client understand probably a little bit of your own medical background. She takes it 10 steps forward in the healing process and addresses a number of issues in every session with her clients. And so I ask you to welcome Dr. Kelly Confer, and she's going to share more with us about frequency healing. And I'm super excited about this. This is where the universe is going in the healing process.
I appreciate that. I'm anxious to talk to your Soul Fam family about frequencies and about healing and about the natural side of things instead of just the allopathic mindset that so many people have. We need to change that to a more frequency-based healing, though.
Exactly. Just to back up a little bit, Kelly and I grew up together. I was recently back in my home state, and I had some issues that are related actually to the fires in Los Angeles. And Kelly treated me for a month. We did frequency healing on a weekly basis for a month. Many of my issues, there were a few others, were also managed in a really positive way by using frequency healing. And if you could share a little bit about just what is the process, what is frequency healing, and how does this all work?
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to quote Nikola Tesla to begin with, because if you want to find the secrets to the universe, you have to look at terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So the frequency is the basics of everything that, well, in my estimation, that it should, that medicine should be, because you resonate at different speeds. Your body has a frequency, a natural frequency. And so we all think of that as like electrons moving and the sodium potassium pump in the body and how all those things work. But we never think about the frequency that actually happens to make the body work. So your natural frequency is this constant state. You either have there could be what's called a biological resonance. So that's based on like energy medicine. Medicine, it's been around for a long time, but it could also be a viewpoint for electrical parameters. So like an EKG machine will tell you what the heart is doing and those type of frequencies that your body emanates naturally. People understand that, but because you don't see a frequency like a chakra or an energy or an aura, most people don't, you don't feel that your frequencies are visible. So when you look at the energy medicine, you have to look at the difference between energy medicine and the allopathic mindset. So the allopathic mindset, the natural doctor or your normal primary care doctor has that viewpoint of sodium and potassium and everything has to have a chemical and this has to have a reaction. But energy medicine is just about the body's electrical circuit and how it's comprised and how that your body uses that energy. So you only have one health, but you have many diseases that your body can have. And Dr. Royal Rife, who was way back from 1888 to 1971. He was the pioneer that did the frequency healing. And if you know anything about the internet, they have a Right app that you can use, and you can look up any diseases that you have, and there's a frequency that is able to help you with that. So the frequencies that I deal with are a little bit more pinpointed to that, because the system that I use is called a Genius Insight system. And the Genius Insight has a revolutionary type of frequency healing that basically utilizes the voice, and then you can just glean what's going on with the body. So everybody's body is different. So for example, you have different philosophical parameters for the brain, the body, and the heart rate, as well as a galvanic skin response. You have a unique voice imprint. Everybody's different. Everybody's voice is different. So you remember when your mother used to say to you, you better watch your voice. You can't talk to me like that. All those things were a frequency, and those frequencies came out as, either a good intention or a bad intention. But there are so many different things that are happening with those frequencies in our body that we don't see. And those frequencies can detract from how you feel. So let's talk about one of these slides that I'm going to have you put up, and it's about the topography, about anger, fear, failing, guilt, and where your body centers that and how that feels. And you'll see there's a myriad of different things that happens in the body just by a word that you don't even have to speak out loud, right? It's a frequency. Somebody pulls off in front of you in traffic and you're angry. That's a frequency. You get a headache because you ate too much sugar. That's a frequency, but there's also a causal effect, sugar, right? Let's say you've been sick and you have coughs. So that's also a type of a frequency that your body's trying to emanate, but it lives in the body. It lives in your aura. It lives in your environment. And those things are changeable. And this program can do that. And it's with the bioresonance, the vocal bioresonance that we use to analyze the voice. And so when we do that, it's a very personalized, as you well know, a very personalized program. You take one part of the voice and you analyze it. And then with that, you take a picture. And we'll get into more of that later. But basically, frequency means everything. Frequency heals everything. There's a frequency to heal everything. But that's all been hidden away from us because pharmaceutical things come first, apparently.
Right, exactly. So explain why the voice itself carries a particular frequency and why it's the voice that enables you and this program to analyze what's actually going on within our entire system.
Okay. So you have the vocal bioresonance, and that's a holistic quantum therapy. And it uses those body's frequencies for your natural healing. So there is a brain-speech communication in the human body. And when the brain plays this crucial role, and it's actually very fascinating, but it's one that's a crucial role because you have an autonomic nervous system. So in that autonomic nervous system, you have a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. That sympathetic nervous system most people know about is the fight or flight. There's someone chasing me, I have to run. The parasympathetic is slowing everything down. And the parasympathetic nerve goes to every organ of the body. So when you think about that, it's very interesting. You say a word and the parasympathetic nervous system communicates with that vagus nerve. And that vagus nerve goes to the larynx. And then the larynx goes where the vocal cords are housed. And then that vibrates and that produces a sound, or it carries a sound. And that information is stored from the brain, right? So in the world of quantum biofeedback, the voice is broken down using this, what's called an FFT, which is a fast Fourier transformation algorithm. And it compares the shape and the wave and the form and the pattern to a certain part of the database. And then with that, you analyze the vocal cords, the vocal code, and then the researcher, me, I can potentially look at the health parameters and diagnose you from there what's going on based on that parameter that your brain sent to your larynx that you both spit out. So it looks for different discrepancies, and then it gives them a higher number or a lower number. So an acute number would be in a red, and a lower number would be chronic in a blue. So that, and you've seen that on some of the things we did with you, but those probability waves give you basically what happens during the body with that speech. And the reason you do the A-I-O-U vowels is because it uses every intonation of your vocal scale. So that program basically takes that vocal scale and then sends it through this program and breaks it down and then gives you a score. So that gives me a starting off point. So maybe you and I have talked and you have problems. Let's say you have heartburn, for example, and I'll be looking at specific parameters that your body's telling me is the factor. Is this a symptom or is it a problem? And then from there, I can I can take the definitions of those and I can use that program to finite those frequencies based on what is happening with you. Make sense?
Yeah, it's so fascinating how specific it is and surprising how very specific it is. And you may not even be aware of some of the symptoms or some of the resonancies that are going on within your body. You may say, oh, I noticed that, but there is something going on in my lungs, or there is an emotional stress that's constant. So it's so thorough in its analysis of what's happening with your entire system based off of really a few seconds of speech that it's just surprising and effective.
Right. So basically when you import your voice and your photo, and you can also do a positive affirmation, like I would like my body to be healed. I would like my foot to stop itching, whatever that positive affirmation is. Or I would just like to have a great day, whatever that is. So that creates your very own custom playlist. And from that playlist, then that signals your body to go back to its innate healing. So that it's kind of like turning off the noise that you get every day from radio, from TV, from cars, from not podcast yours, but the things that you listen to have an effect on you. That's why music at certain hertz is bad for you. I could go on forever about that. But basically, we're trying to wake up the body's good frequencies and tamper down the bad frequencies. Right. And when you do that, it uses a specific vibration that's tuned to you. So this is one of the few programs that I've ever encountered that has such a specificity that we can program it to you. And it changes. And I think you've seen this when you were on the program. It changed from week to week, depending on what your body had healed and moved on from. And that's why it's kind of like stepping in a creek. You never step in the same water twice. Your body, that's why we do it I like to do it for at least 3 months at a time, because your body is constantly changing from week to week. Can you use these program frequencies specifically designed for you to heal you? And you can listen to them many times a day, whenever you want. But realize that this is a very specialized medicine basic to you based on what information that you put into the program. So it takes all these parameters, all these algorithms, and it spits out this frequency that says that your body has said, I'm lacking. I need help. And that's why we get such good results.
That's so interesting. I love that that's how you put it, that the body will tell you basically, I am lacking this, I'm hurting, whether we are conscious of it or not.
Because you breathe how many times a day, but you never think about, I need to take a breath. And your heart beats all the time, but you don't think, I need to make sure my heart, you can't physically, your mind over your body, stop your heart. You have to, those the autonomic nervous system, that's a system that works automatically. So your thought process and that self-talk, like when we were kids, don't say that to yourself. Don't say those bad things. And people were like, and words do hurt because subconsciously you take them in, just like different frequencies of music do hurt. So those things that you don't think are bothering you will leave a resonance in your body, and we need to clear those. So these frequencies, when they come up, that frequency might not seem much to you. You don't know why you're getting this frequency programmed for you, but your body is saying, this is what is going on. So it's the only program I know, this Genius Insight program is the only program I know that is that specific.
Why did you decide to invest in this and practice this with your clients? And I want to also preface that you've been working as a doctor for 27 years, and I'm not quite sure how long you've been practicing frequency healing, but why did you decide this should be part of your practice?
Well, I got tired of people telling me they're tired. I got tired of people telling me that they're overstimulated and I'm overwhelmed. And I'm not saying I was tired of hearing it. It was just, that was the constant denominator through people, or they'd say, gosh, I came in and you gave me a chiropractic adjustment and it didn't stay, or I don't feel any better. And then you try to get down to why that happened. So for me personally, that was the major thing. But also I was kind of tired of the conventional allopathic mindset of, here's your pill, take this, you'll feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't understand what happens with the side effects long term of some of the medications, and they're always coming up with some new medication that's supposed to be wonderful for whatever ailment you have. But I have been doing this for 27 years, and this is my second year doing the quantum program, the Genius Insight Quantum program. And ironically, the people that I use this with, I don't see as much chiropractically, because they're healing themselves from the inside, and the stressors that they have. Because stress causes 90% of the problems that go on with your body. Whether you personally put stress on you, or some stress from work, or you're stressed about your kids or your marriage or your spouse, or whoever, that creates the dis-ease that we're talking about. So when I started chiropractic in 1999, my firm belief was chiropractic could heal everything. I didn't need to do anything different, And for the longest time, that was my parameters, and it worked well. But then you get to the point where you see those stubborn few people, those patients that don't get better.
You were frustrated in that there were certain patients that just you couldn't move them out of that space of non-healing. Like they just weren't getting where you wanted them to be. And it's interesting that the complaint about being tired all the time was the one that really remained with you. And I can't tell you one person that doesn't tell me that now.
Right. I think that's the overwhelming thing about where we live in a society where there's so much afferent bombardment. Everything. If you're not leaving your 2-year-old on the computer to entertain themselves, you're not the right mom. Which you and I certainly didn't grow up that way. We were told to go play in the middle of the highway.
Basically.
I went to massage therapy school in 1990. And then from there, I went to school in 1999 to become a chiropractor. Well, graduated in 1999 from Logan College Chiropractic in St. Louis. And so that's what the massage therapy was, what really got me into some of the energy things and the chakras and the frequencies. But I just don't think I was ready to accept that was part of my healing journey and helping other people yet. And so when I graduated from chiropractic school, it is all such a scientific-based type of program that you just get into that cookie cutter type of mentality that this person has low back pain. This is what we need to look at. This is what we're looking for. And hey, look, they fit the bill and here we go. And no one ever talked to me a lot about different chakras and energies and that type of thing. And then when you start learning some of those things, and then how trauma affects those chakras. So like a sexual type of, like a rape or something like that, how that encounters the sacral chakra or that root chakra and how it affects the body and how that shuts down those chakras and things like that. Just you don't really talk about much because people don't want to open up to you about that. Hey, in the past I had this rape and I was assaulted and now I can't do this or I can't feel that. And your body's natural way of shutting things down tends to make that, embarrassing to talk about. And so that was also part of the other thing of me trying to get these frequencies, is just to help those people who didn't have anywhere else to go and felt like they were being left out. So they were not being heard. They were not being seen. They didn't know where to start or where to end or who to talk to or how that was supposed to go. And so that was another big thing about the energy frequency healing. How do I get this person to heal themselves and doing on a consistent basis with a program that's going to constantly change while they're healing? And that's an important part too, because you can't just keep doing the same things 10 times and get a different result on the 8th time. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
But with this
that's an important thing to remember.
Yeah. And that's also why I picked the Genius Insight program. And I did a lot of deep dive into what different programs were out there. And that's hard because, do you want to do this? How is this going to look? But I think one of the things that really resonated with me about this program and about this Genius Insight is all the different panels that they had and how many times there's 4 basic panels that they use, and then how those panels break down and how you can use those to diagnose people. It really was something. So there's actually 5 panels. One's just a custom library. There's 4 panels that they use most. And the first one is called the System Overview. And that's just a comprehensive overview of the system itself that covers the body and the biofield and the mind. And then you have the general overview, and that relates to the wellness and the energy balancing. And then progressive insights. And it analyzes how you identify and score the modules and the balancing. So that's your acute and your chronic problems and how they score that. And then the last part is the entangled insights. And that's the energy balancing and exploring the interconnectedness between what the specific energy field of that person is and what it should be and how you're going to get them. And then the custom library is something that I invested in. The custom libraries, and this is the final panel of this system, is the one that I customized. I purchased different things to analyze different things in people's bodies. So we're a very farming rural community here. And so I chose things that I knew people were exposed to and how that relates to what's going on there. And then I chose a little bit broader aspect of some of the things that I thought people would go to. So like in the city, you might be exposed to this. And then the counties, you might be exposed to this. And then I did a whole different library on the homeopathics, the essential oils. And there's so many different things you could do with those different modules and libraries. But I really like where I'm at because it seems to help me diagnose people a little bit easier. So basically, you send all that information in, and the system works very easily. You sign up for the system, you get a capsule that downloads to your phone. The capsule opens up, and you use your voice. You do your voice, you do your picture, and once a week, you send those things to me. We put it through the process. It generates a frequency. Those generated frequencies are specific to you for that minute in your life and what's going on. And then the next week, we do it again. And those really make a difference in trying to get to the underlying problem, because as you well know, I'll use someone who has had an amputated foot. So you have an amputated foot and you still have foot pain or your toe itches, but it's not there. So that brain has already built that pathway, and it's like it's really there. You really feel it itching, but there's no way to itch that foot. So once those pathways are burned, those frequencies are similar to that. So there's so many things that we have to go through to shuffle down to what the underlying problem is. And what is that underlying problem? Well, you can't put a pill on it, and you can't take some alcohol shot, and you can't smoke it away or whatever anybody does anymore. I'm not into that. So it's hard for me to understand some of those things that people do themselves, and yet they're still living. So that the bottom line is, once you get through those many layers, and that's why I always say 3 months is the optimal and 12 is the best, because those 3 months you change so much of what's going on, and you get down to the level of really what is happening in the body. And that's when you can make some actual changes. And then you start to recognize, hey, this frequency that I'm at right now is not where I need to be. This is not a healing frequency for me. You start to recognize this isn't where I need to be. And it might be the people that you're with. It might be what you're eating. It could be anything. You know, Amazon sells a book about frequency eating. If you want to learn the frequencies of your food, you can change the frequencies of your food, how you cook them, how you don't cook them. You know, please don't use a microwave. I mean, there's just a ton of information, but basically those 4 subpanels open up to just a myriad of different things that I can open up, from the spinal. Let me name a few, because I have them right here. So they go from the meridians to the chakras to the auras to emotional to body scan to nutritional to homeopathic, homeopathy, stress, spinal sensitivities. There's so much Wi-Fi out there. There's so much signal that's bouncing around. And people don't understand that they're exposed to that 24/7, 365. It's in the air. It's below your feet. 6G is now here. It's under the pavement. You don't even know you're walking on it. And there it is. So, you know, they tried to take away the Earth's magnetic healing and put a layer in between. So let's cut you off so you don't feel it, and then go from there. So
that's wild.
Yeah. My part in this is just to get people back to a level of homeostasis where they don't feel so tired. And I don't feel like I want to, you know, jump down someone's throat the minute they walk through the door because I've had a stressful day.
Right. Well, it does much more than that. I want to be sure that I personally can testify to the fact that it does do much more than that. And so, for instance, one of the things we found in my body was that there was a high resonance of asbestos and parasites post LA fires 9 months there's that aspect, which popped right up to the top of the list, which I had thought was a possibility because I was so close to the Palisades fires and then not even really a mile from where the debris was dumped. So I had a sense that that was going to pop up, but I surely thought it was going to take much longer to find any evidence of it. And then it was so immediate. It was surprising. And there were other elements, not necessarily specific to that, but that were perhaps related as far as supplements I needed or things that were missing in my diet that were no longer supported by the diet I had at the time. You know, there's a lot of interrelatedness that's revealed by just one session of working with this.
Well, that's the other thing too, I didn't mention, but you do get emails. I do send you emails with the information, and those emails give you a number and they give you some advice and what usually happens with that. It not only is here's your score, here's your frequencies, but here's the documentation data that backs everything up. And I think that's also one of the major things that other programs are not utilizing, is they don't want to put their name on that and say, okay, now, but those emails are every week. Every week you can visually see the changes that your body has made just by listening to those frequencies, just by being consistent with that. And then you can change your frequency and who you hang out with and where you're going to go. And you'll find yourself changing because you don't want to put yourself into those stressful situations. And sometimes those can't be helped. I mean, you have to get aboard a plane and it's stressful. You have to drive in traffic in the city and that can be stressful. But there are places that your body is holding those frequencies and and they're blocking your energy and you're tired all the time. So you need to go clear those frequencies, clear those things out, and then you can change how you feel. And you can see documentation every week, how things are changing. And we're not talking about 2 or 3 little emails. I mean, I don't know how many emails you got, probably 8 or 10 of them every
10.
time you did it.
I don't know, 10, 15.
It just depends. And so
all valuable information, I want to add.
It is very much. But it also is how I determine what's else going on with you, because I look at those panels, I look at those things before I email them to you. And is this something that's going on with you? Is this something that's helpful for you to know? And some of those things, people don't they don't want to be educated or not. They can read x-rays, but they can look at an x-ray, but they don't know how to read it. That's my job. My job is to look at all those stuff and see what's meaningful and what needs to be sent to the patient so they can get an idea of what they need to change. And then you get to see that frequency changes and those emails change and the outcome changes week to week. So.
Definitely. What's interesting to me as a patient, a client, is that it gives such a holistic view of what's going on in my body, in my system, in my world, in my life. And it gives you the opportunity to allow the body to heal itself.
Yes.
I mean, I'm working, my body is working and my mind, every level of my existence is working in conjunction with these frequencies. It's a simultaneous alignment.
Right.
From top to bottom.
Well, and that's what you want to do. I mean, even if you go and get acupuncture, you're trying to align your meridians, you're trying to align your chi, you're trying to get yourself back into focus. And there are many ways to do that. This is just another avenue to do that, where it's like having a doctor in your pocket. It's all on your phone. You just download it, you plug your iPods in, and you walk away. You can listen to it when you're going into traffic. You can listen to it when you're going to sleep. You can listen to it when you're supposed to be working. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. And you can do this 24/7. I mean, every 7 days your frequencies expire because your body has done enough work to heal those. Now we need another set. Let's do another recheck. And we call those in my world a re-exam. So let's re-examine what's going on and then start again. And then again, that's why I say 3 months is minimum what I suggest, because in that 3-month time, you can get down to, here's the bottom line. This is what's really the problem. And you might not have even known that was the problem. So I had a lady who I was working with remotely, and that's the other part. This program works so well remotely, you and I never even need to meet for us to understand what needs to happen. But I had a lady who was in an accident and had a metal implant. And she took a break from the program. She came back, and the first thing that popped up in her read was this metal implant. And I finally just called her and I said, I keep getting all these, what happened? She said, oh my gosh, I was in this accident and I had to have this rod put in. So, she was amazed that showed up. She was amazed that came right up and this was the problem. And I said, yeah, this is going to be a problem because your body does not like this metallic object. It does not resonate with you.
Right.
And, as a chiropractor, I think there are other things, she needs to get an adjustment. She needs to take some time off. She needs to heal, So this program works so well for me because it's a whole picture. Not only do I get to see that person who's sitting in front of me, but I can also treat someone half a world away without even having to see them. It's not the same as getting a chiropractic adjustment because obviously I think everybody should need an adjustment. Everything. But that's just me. But this is also one of the other reasons I decided to do the frequency, the quantum holistic healing, because there are so many different avenues to heal people remotely. And there are not enough people who do it and are experienced enough to look at all the information. And as a practitioner, when you do those AEIOU and you send the picture, it's like a whole great big computer program opens up and there's a myriad of things that I have to funnel through to what is important and what happens. And then I have to figure out what is going to be the best experience for you to get the best frequency. And then from there, what changes do we have to make? And that, it's hard because this one of a kind program, you kind of have to know what you're doing. You can't just plug it in. Oh yeah, it's easy. Right. Yeah, no problem. It's everything that you look at. And when you look at all those things in conjunction, what's the best option for this person right now? We don't want to overwhelm the body. We want to de-stress the body. We want to change the frequencies. We want to give them things that they're learning to control themselves. And then that frequency changes biologically. So it's not like, your doctor gives one blood test and they see one blood test and they're like, oh yeah, this person's got cancer. That's not how that works. They take a whole chart and they sit down and they look at stuff. If you were walk into my office and I was to do this program and we were doing chiropractic and this program, we would look at the whole body, not only the frequencies, but the spine and everything else. And we might be able to jumpstart some things chiropractically with the frequencies and get a better solution faster or vice versa because your whole body is a frequency. So
right. You're very thorough in your approach, I must say. You also offer there's a couple of little added gems that as a patient client, we get to experience when we're at your office. And even you could do this at home as well, but you have the chakra mats and that remind me of everything you have.
When I started the Genius Insight program, I also decided to start what I call the break room. And I have a chakra mat. And then I also have leg massagers, hand massagers, eye massager. And then, of course, that mat has 21 different layers on the table. And that has an infrared, but it also balances the chakras as you're laying there because that mat is full of gemstones that are colored according to the chakras of the body. So those 7 chakras of the body, and most people know them, but you've got the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, and the third eye. So when you look at all those energy centers and they're all lined up in front of the spine, it makes sense as a chiropractor, to me anyway, that you have to balance not only what's on the inside, but what's up behind it. So when you do an adjustment, then we do the break room, and then you get your frequencies aligned and you get to lay there and relax. It's a heated table and you just get that whole body awareness by laying there. And I play some healing frequencies while you're in there, which makes a big difference for your relaxation. And then you can either do it for an unlimited amount of time, or you can do it 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on what you're able to do over your time frame that you're not working or your break.
I want to touch on something before we run out of time. What is your feeling in general about, I think you and I share a similar point of view about the world of medicine as it is, allopathic medicine as it is. How do you feel frequency, quantum healing, where do you feel the future or the present is with regard to this kind of healing and medicine, so to speak?
Well, I think that people are tired of getting the runaround. I think that people are tired of asking for a refill for the medication and they're only feeling slightly better and then it doesn't work at all. I think there's a big shift that's happening within the world of this is no longer sustainable. The pill for every symptom is no longer sustainable. And it makes a lot of people a lot of money, but at the cost of us and all the things that are happening to us personally. And, not only that is you hear the Medicare population, they can't afford their medications and their living and their insurance policies. And it gets to the point where there has to be a better way. And so with my mindset and what I see changes happening is people are getting fed up with being treated like they're a cattle call and they want a little more specificity. And they want to be treated like a person, a whole person, not just my symptom. Why am I having this symptom? How can I make it better? What am I doing wrong? How is this doctor going to change things for me? Not every headache needs aspirin. How can we make this better without changing the gut biome, without changing how the body is processing things? You can't keep adding things to the body, some outside medication, some outside pill, and make the body magically better. If that worked, it would have worked 100 years ago. So to me, there's a big shift that's happening. People are looking for more specific healing, and that healing has to be something that they can do from the comfort of their own home. And that to me is the frequency healing. And I'm not the only person who's thought this, and I'm not the only person who will think this, but there is a major shift going on and people are just fed up and they want something that's going to give them results and they want something to make themselves feel better without polluting their body. We already have enough pollution with what we get fed, what's in the air. I don't know how much more I can say about that on this podcast, but there are a lot of things that we all now know are causing some major problems. And there is not a pill for that. There is simply removing yourself from that and changing it and changing your frequencies and healing your body from the inside out. I mean, that's the basis of chiropractic is to heal from the inside out. Find it, fix it, leave it alone. That's been my philosophy forever. And so with this actual program, with the Genius Insight program, we look at things every week and it's always changing. It's not just here's another pill. Look, here's another prescription for this month. No, we're tailoring it to you every week. And your body is doing a feedback. And those feedbacks come with those emails. And those emails tell you, hey, look, I can visually see this picture of me changing. And that is not something that you're going to get. What you get from your doctor is your list of side effects for your medications. And they never change. They're always the same side effect.
That's true. I know.
So there has to be a change that's happening within this world where people are wanting more natural, more holistic, and basically easier with less stress on the body.
Yes.
So that's where I think things are going.
It is not only easier, it is pleasurable.
Yes.
It's a very nice thing to listen to the frequencies. You feel better. I mean, without me having to take a pill or even the hassle of like dealing with an insurance company. I don't have to wait for someone to approve it for me. And I personally feel differently immediately and then progressively better and different throughout the course of the treatment.
Right. And with
am I overnight healed? No. But it is progressively better.
Well, you don't take your first medication for your first antibiotic when you have a bad infection and think it's all going to be gone in 24 hours. No, that's not how it happens. I mean, the body takes time. But this jumpstart with the frequency is so much more natural to the body. The body knows what to do with the frequency. It knows where to go. This pill, your body's got to break it down. It's got to figure out what it's going to shut off, what it's going to shut off, turn on. And all those things are a process. With the frequency, it's just a giant, it just goes right into this is what's happening. This is what's going to calm my body. And then with the frequencies that you listen to, we can change them to different waves, different sounds, different alternative, how much you want to listen to a beat or a nature there's just so many things. So there's always options.
So moving forward, how do you feel frequency healing is going to integrate into our communities? What do you feel the best route is for all of that? And why would you recommend it to a friend of yours?
Well, that's a lot wrapped up to one question. But the basis of all of it is a more natural healing, something that your body and your mind can fully integrate immediately. There's not some weight pattern to it. It's just, here it is. This is the frequency, and the fact that it's specifically designed for that person. So if you were out there looking for it, you would want a program that does things specifically for you based on the information that you put in it. You wouldn't want some cookie cutter type of program that's going to say, okay, she gave me these parameters and I'm just going to give her this result. You want something as a person. And that's what I tell people to recommend. This takes healing to the next level, one step further than you've gone before. And it's because the frequencies are so natural to the body, and because the frequencies are so able to integrate the body, it's an easy programmable type of thing where your body just automatically is like, oh yes, okay, now I know what's going on. And so to me, it's kind of one of those, why wouldn't you want to help yourself? Why wouldn't you want to get some frequency healing? And even if you only tried it for 3 months and you thought, okay, now I'm good. And then you went back and you're like, okay, I don't know if it was really helping me because I didn't really feel anything right at the beginning. And then you realized after a while, it was doing more for me than I thought it was. So, and
it's true. Basically,
there's no reason not to try it. Just basically simply because you fear it or you don't understand it. That's when you send an email to me and you say, why, these are my problems. Do you think this can help? And I will tell you, I don't know, because I don't know all the problems out there. I don't know all those things, but it's certainly not going to hurt you to try. It's better than putting in some artificial chemical into your body to say, yes, I think I'm going to try this and it's going to make me feel better. And I think there are people out there who are just actively seeking medications because they want to shut off the noise when they don't realize that noise comes from that frequency that when you're out of balance. So to me, it's definitely 100% the next step, what's going to end up happening and what naturally needs to happen.
Okay. Well, how do people get in touch with you, Kelly? How can I become a patient? What's the best way to connect with you and learn more about this?
Well, basically, it's my email. The email is the best way to get a hold of me. That means that you have my undivided attention when I open my email, and I can also, get back with you via email. And if you leave a number and I have a chance to call, I can do that too. But basically, it's the email is my number one. And then if you, in the subject matter, if you write SoulFam podcast or GI or Genius Insight program or whatever, frequency program, just give me a heads up of what's going on so I know that you're an actual person and not some bot trying to send me email. But yes,
that's true.
They could definitely get a hold of me email. And I'm sure you're going to post my email on there, but it's .kcdc@me.com. Very simple, very easy. And that's generally how I communicate with my patients through this program, is with my email. So that's the best way to make sure we have a record of what's going on. And that's how we communicate the best.
Well, I have to say I am eternally grateful for the treatment that I received with you, and I will return to it again. It was such a wonderful experience for multiple reasons, not just the initial problem that I came to you for, but it enhanced almost every aspect of my life, I have to say.
Well, thank you. That's a very big statement. And I saw those changes in you too, from the week 1 to week 4. I mean, those are, you see the progress, and that makes me just tickle pink that people are getting the response that they so want and they need. I mean, who doesn't want to feel better? Who doesn't want to feel like they're normal? Whatever normal is these days.
Right. It's what you need when you need it.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. Well, and I appreciate you having me on your podcast, because I appreciate being able to share this information and get that information out to your family. Because it's important that people understand that there is a credible person to come to, and that I do take my job very seriously, and I do want to help people. And there is the old country time doctor still out here in the country, but I have some pretty new mindsets for what's going on with the frequency programs. So I hope I can help you.
It's a very cool thing. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the SoulFam podcast. Be sure to tune in to every episode where we dive into a different rabbit hole of the known and unknown to empower you in conscious living and exploration of the greater universe. We hope you leave each episode with a little stardust in your hair and inspiration in your heart. With love from your Soul Fam.